Welcome to another episode of StudyIQ. Today, India finds itself at the epicenter of a global transformation. The Eurasian security order is shifting due to the Ukraine conflict, and the Indo-Pacific region is gaining prominence in global geopolitics and geoeconomics. As a result, major powers are vying for India's attention, and India is playing a significant role in shaping the global order. Further, China's rise in assertiveness and continuously reshaping India's security environment, while Russia's current crisis and alignment with China presents new challenges. This situation constitutes one of the most significant strategic shifts for India since the end of the Cold War. Join us as we delve deeper into the dynamics that are redefining the world order as well as India's position on the global stage. Hi, I am Lipakshi Khurana and you're watching StudyIQ. On 24th February 2022, a pivotal event occurred with far-reaching consequences. Russia's invasion of Ukraine sent shockwaves across the world, and it marked a critical turning point in the global security structure. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine is not merely an isolated war. It has the potential to escalate into a much broader conflict involving the rest of the world, either directly or indirectly. Already, the war has impacted the global economy, particularly concerning essential resources like oil and food supplies. Stability in the world heavily relies on ensuring access to energy and sustenance. When basic needs for food and energy are disrupted, it can lead to desperation, unrest, and potential conflicts that transcend geographical and cultural boundaries. The Sahel region of Africa faces challenges like Islamist insurgencies, poverty, inequality, and climate change. These challenges have been exacerbated by the repercussions of the Russia-Ukraine war. The conflict has caused significant price increases in oil, wheat, and fertilizers, affecting the economies of several countries worldwide, especially the poorest one. Friends, moreover, the reduction in Western armed forces stationed in the Sahel due to the focus on the war in Ukraine has created a power vacuum. This has resulted in civil wars across the region and contributed to coups in countries like Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Chad. These developments have raised concerns about deepening fault lines in the world security architecture. Dialogue and diplomacy have taken a backseat as major powers, including the US, EU, China, and Russia, engage in extensive diplomatic activities. These efforts are particularly focused on the Pacific and Indian Ocean regions. Well, friends, the world seems to be divided into two major camps, with NATO moving ever closer to the Russian border on one hand, and on the other hand, China is increasing its economic influence over developing and developed nations through Belt and Road Initiative and debt trap diplomacy. As the distrust among major powers persists, finding a way out and evolving a new security architecture has become crucial. But how did the world arrive at this juncture? Friends, for this, we first need to understand the historical context and dynamics of the Cold War era that underlies the current geopolitical landscape. Shortly after the end of the Second World War in 1945, hostilities started brewing between the United States and the Soviet Union. And from 1947 onwards, the world got divided into two geopolitical blocks of power, the Eastern Bloc led by the Soviet Union and the Western Bloc led by the United States. What ensued for the next couple of decades is what we call the Cold War. Though this period never had an actual war between the two countries, it was characterized by a highly intense conflict for global domination, which involved espionage and military conflict in foreign countries through proxy wars. The Korean War, which took place from 1950 to July 1953, and the Vietnam War, lasting from 1955 to 1975, were two significant conflicts that occurred during the Cold War. The United States and the Soviet Union, the two global rivals, engaged in fierce competition to establish their leadership in various fields, including science, technology, and warfare. This competition focused on space exploration, nuclear development, and arms buildup. After World War II, the US initially had an advantage in building nuclear weapons, but the Soviets quickly caught up, leading to a balance in their nuclear capabilities by the 1960s. This led to the concept of mutually assured destruction, which implied that each one's offensive weaponry surpassed the defensive capability of the other. Well, in 1961, Russia tested the Tsar Bomba, a hydrogen bomb, which became the most powerful weapon ever created. Well, friends, its explosive power was equivalent to 54 megatons of TNT, 10 times more powerful than all the bombs used in World War II combined. The detonation had devastating consequences, causing damage to buildings hundreds of kilometers away. The shock waves from the blast were even registered on its third revolution around the Earth. Throughout the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, the possibility of a nuclear war was a constant source of fear for the humanity on the planet Earth. So friends, what prevented the situation from escalating into an all-out war? The one-word answer is human values. This is why knowledge without values is a waste. Look, the nuclear bomb will behave the same once the button is pressed. So be it Kim Jong-un, the supreme leader of North Korea, or President Biden of US pushing the button. The understanding of human values and the catastrophic impact of nuclear war guided the signing of major agreements and treaties between the US and the Soviets during the Cold War. These agreements played a significant role in preventing the madness of the technological race from turning into a catastrophic global conflict. So friends, let's visit some of the major treaties and agreements that have played a pivotal role in curbing global dominance among major powers and promoting nuclear non-proliferation. The first is Yalta Agreement in 1945. This agreement established the post-war division of Germany and Europe, as well as the creation of the United Nations. Second, the Potsdam Agreement in 1945. This agreement further clarified the terms of the Yalta Agreement and set forth plans for the denazification and demilitarization of Germany. Third, the North Atlantic Treaty in 1949. This treaty established NATO, a military alliance between the United States, Canada, and several European countries. Fourth, the Warsaw Pact in 1955. This treaty established the Warsaw Pact, a military alliance between the Soviet Union and several Eastern European countries. Fifth, the Limited Nuclear Test Ban Treaty in 1963. This treaty banned all atmospheric, underwater, and outer space nuclear tests. Sixth was the Hotline Agreement in 1963. This agreement established a direct communications link between the White House and the Kremlin to help prevent misunderstandings that could lead to war. Sixth, the Anti-Ballistic Missile, the ABM Treaty in 1972. This treaty limited the number of ABM systems that each country could deploy. The SALT, that is the Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty Agreement in 1972. This agreement limited the number of strategic nuclear weapons that each country could deploy. On number 8 is the SALT II, the Strategic Arms Limitation Talks Treaty in 1979. This agreement further limited the number of strategic nuclear weapons that each country could deploy. On number 9 is the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces INF Treaty in 1987. This treaty banned all intermediate range nuclear missiles. Well, at number 10 is the Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, START I, in 1991. This treaty further reduced the number of strategic nuclear weapons that each country could deploy. At number 11 is the Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, START II, in 1993. This treaty further reduced the number of strategic nuclear weapons that each country could deploy. Well, at number 12, the New START Treaty in 2010. This treaty further reduced the number of strategic weapons that each country could deploy. Well, besides these agreements, friends, various other agreements and treaties have also been signed to prevent the proliferation of nuclear weapons. Next is the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons. This treaty is the cornerstone of the global nuclear non-proliferation regime. It was opened for signature in 1968 and entered into force in 1970. The NPT currently has 191 states. The treaty prohibits the spread of nuclear weapons to non-nuclear weapon states and requires nuclear weapon states to pursue negotiations in good faith on nuclear disarmament. Next is the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, the CTBT. This treaty bans all nuclear explosions, whether for peaceful or military purposes. It was opened for signature in 1996, but has not yet entered into force due to the lack of ratification by 8 states, including the US, India, Pakistan, North Korea, China, Egypt, Iran, and Israel. Well, let's now talk about the Nuclear Suppliers Group, the NSG. This group of countries is responsible for setting export controls on nuclear materials and technology. The NSG was established in 1975 and currently has 48 participating governments. The Missile Technology Control Regime, the MTCR. This regime is designed to control the export of missiles and missile-related technology. The MTCR was established in 1987 and currently has 35 participating governments. Well, friends, in addition to these treaties, organizations like the International Atomic Energy Agency, the UN Security Council, and the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons play crucial roles in monitoring treaty compliance and assisting countries in developing peaceful nuclear energy programs. These agreements and organizations have been instrumental in promoting peace, stability, and nuclear non-proliferation worldwide. So friends, how did India get access to nuclear and missile technology? India's access to nuclear and missile technology has been facilitated by several major agreements and international regimes. First in line is Nuclear Suppliers Group, the NSG. The NSG is a group of countries that controls the export of nuclear materials and technology. In 2008, the NSG granted India a waiver that allows it to access nuclear technology from NSG member countries. Secondly, Wassenaar Arrangement. The Wassenaar Arrangement is an export control regime that regulates the transfer of conventional weapons and dual-use goods and technologies. India is a member of the Wassenaar Arrangement, which gives it access to a wide range of dual-use goods and technologies that can be used for nuclear and missile programs. Next is Australia Group. The Australia Group is an export control regime that regulates the transfer of chemicals and biological weapons. India is a member of the Australia Group, which gives it access to a wide range of chemicals and biological agents that can be used for nuclear and missile programs. Fourthly, Missile Technology Control Regime, the MTCR. The MTCR is an export control regime that regulates the transfer of missiles and missile-related technology. India is not a member of the MTCR, but it has a cooperative relationship with the regime. This gives India access to some missile-related technology from MTCR member countries. Friends, next is Hyde Act. The Hyde Act is a US law that restricts the transfer of nuclear technology to India. However, the Hyde Act has been waived several times, which has allowed India to access nuclear technology from the United States. Next in line is Nuclear Cooperation Agreement with the United States. Well, in 2008, India signed a nuclear cooperation agreement with the United States. This agreement allows India to access US nuclear technology and fuel for its civilian nuclear program. In contrast to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty member countries, India is not bound by the NPT's export controls. However, India has taken steps to ensure the peaceful nature of its nuclear and missile programs. For instance, it has signed the additional protocol to the IAEA Safeguards Agreement and expressed willingness to adhere to a fissile material cutoff treaty. Well, friends, while India's nuclear and missile programs have raised concerns among some countries, India maintains that its intentions are peaceful. Access to such technology has enabled India to develop a significant nuclear and missile program, contributing to its role as a responsible nuclear power. But then how did China enter the picture where it's threatening the world order now? China's entry into the world stage and its current position of challenging the global order can be attributed to various historical developments and geopolitical shifts. So friends, the first reason is the ideological divide. After World War II, China's communist ideology clashed with the capitalist Western world, leading to distrust and tensions between the two sides. Second is isolation and reconciliation. In the early years, China was isolated from the West, and the US and its allies supported Taiwan's Kuomintang government instead of recognizing the Chinese Communist government. This resulted in armed conflicts, including the Korean War. The third reason is Nixon's visit in Shanghai Communique. In the 1970s, efforts by President Richard Nixon, including his visit to China in 1972, marked a turning point in China-West relations. The Shanghai Communique improved diplomatic ties and opened channels for dialogue. Next reason is the economic growth and WTO membership. Following the Shanghai Communique, China's economy experienced rapid growth. Its entry into the World Trade Organization further accelerated its economic rise and enhanced its role as a major trading partner for Western countries. Next is the military expansion and assertive foreign policy. China's economic progress enabled the modernization and expansion of its military capabilities. With growing economic and military strength, China adopted a more assertive stance in its foreign policy. Well, friends, next is shifts in global power dynamics. China's rise as the world's second largest economy led to a shift in global power dynamics, challenging the traditional dominance of the United States. The US remains a superpower, but its relative power has diminished in comparison to China. Next is geopolitical opportunities. Events like the fall of the Berlin Wall and US interventions, including the Gulf War in 1990-1991, the war in Afghanistan in 2001 to 2020, and the Iraq War from 2003 to 2011 created geopolitical space for China to expand its economic and strategic influence. It capitalized on these opportunities to secure energy supplies and present alternative narratives for countries facing challenges in aligning with the West. In light of these developments, China's increasing influence in the world and its assertiveness in challenging the established global order have become evident. Well, friends, is Quad the answer? How far will it succeed in containing China? The Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, or Quad, is an informal strategic forum comprising the United States, India, Australia, and Japan. Initially established in 2007 to coordinate humanitarian assistance and disaster relief, the Quad has evolved into a more strategic platform with a focus on maritime security, counter-terrorism, and addressing China's rise. While China has expressed concerns about the Quad's impact on regional peace and order, its relevance has grown significantly over time. Well, friends, China's actions have been both the catalyst and the glue behind the Quad's development. However, unlike other regional groupings such as BRICS and the SCO, the Quad has seen greater expansion. One notable aspect of the Quad is its careful avoidance of overtly presenting itself as an anti-China alliance. Instead, it has been proactive in providing relief and expanding its offerings of public goods, which has increased its appeal without provoking unnecessary tensions with other countries. Well, as a result, China's previous portrayal of the Quad as an Asian NATO seems to have lost its effectiveness. The Quad's cooperative efforts and sensitivity to geopolitical issues have allowed it to develop into a more inclusive and constructive force in the region. The Quad's versatility is reflected in its wide range of initiatives aimed at benefiting the Indo-Pacific region. These initiatives cover various areas including vaccines, connectivity, resilience, maritime awareness, infrastructure, and investment networks. As the Quad gains traction, it has influenced the perceptions of the ASEAN and its member nations. For instance, Indonesia, a significant Indo-Pacific nation, views the Quad and AUKUS as partners rather than rivals, aligning with ASEAN's goals of promoting stability and peace. Well, friends, the Quad's core principles emphasizing freedom, opposing unilateralism, and respecting sovereignty have garnered widespread appeal. Meanwhile, China's actions in the region have raised concerns, leading many countries to reassess their ties with Beijing. Unlike other international groupings, the Quad operates without a secretariat or exclusive officialdom. Nevertheless, its initiatives are in the early stages and may lead to more formal arrangements in the future. Well, friends, the Quad's balanced approach without a dominant nation is particularly valuable given India's unique continental and strategic challenges. While the term Quad may have triggered anxieties in China, many countries recognize the Quad's potential in addressing security challenges in areas like cyber and space. So in conclusion, friends, we can say amidst the transformative effect of the Russia-China axis on the international system, India finds itself at the core of the global churn. Well, friends, with the Eurasian Security Order undergoing transformation due to the Ukraine conflict and the Indo-Pacific emerging as the center of global geopolitics and geoeconomics, New Delhi's role and choices are gaining significant prominence worldwide. During his visit to India, Japanese PM Kishida unveiled a new vision for a free and open Indo-Pacific. The plan revolves around 4 key pillars. 1. Promoting principles for peace and prosperity. 2. Addressing regional challenges through an Indo-Pacific approach. 3. Fostering multi-layered connectivity. And 4th, enhancing security measures for sea and air routes. Similarly, Australian Prime Minister Albanese's visit aimed to strengthen ties with like-minded nations, while Australia continued engaging with China. The AUKUS Pact, signed with the US and UK, goes beyond nuclear submarines, focusing on intelligence and high-tech cooperation among the 3 traditional security partners. On the other hand, Japan and South Korea have taken significant steps towards normalizing their historically tense relationship, indicating progress in regional stability. Among all the countries in the Indo-Pacific region, South Korea stands out for its enthusiastic support for the quadrilateral security dialogue. Well, friends, the Quad members remain committed to upholding principles such as the rule of law, sovereignty, territorial integrity, and peaceful dispute resolution in the Indo-Pacific and the world. The ambitious agenda encompasses various priorities in the Indo-Pacific, including health security, climate change, emerging technologies, sustainable lending, infrastructure development, and counter-terrorism efforts. India's position in the evolving global and regional order necessitates simultaneous efforts on multiple fronts. Well, friends, strengthening domestic political, economic, and military foundations and building robust partnerships with like-minded nations is imperative. However, the shifting power dynamics between the West, Russia, and China may limit India's options. Amidst these complexities, India should avoid rigid ideologies and embrace an environment conducive to innovation, experimentation, and openness to new ideas. Well, friends, this approach is vital for India to assert its rightful place in the global community of nations. We hope you found this episode as captivating as we did in creating it for you. Until next time, stay curious and stay informed. Well, remember, the world is evolving, and together we'll explore its ever-changing landscape. So friends, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. See you soon.